Hey, so today's video is a follow-up to yesterday's video where I went over Cosmodore's response to all the allegations made against him. And I introduced that video by mentioning how I hadn't completely looked into the situation. However, now I have, and Cosmodore is even worse than I thought he was. Way worse. So, I decided I'd make a video on that today, but before we begin, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe because I post daily content providing information on all the topics you could possibly be interested in. I'm aiming for 25,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I'd appreciate your support, and I also have a Discord server and other social media in the description, so if you want to talk to me daily, make sure to join the Discord. With that out of the way, let's get into it. But before I go further, I'd like to discuss my messages with Cosmodore, as just before and after my video, I spoke to him. And firstly, I highlighted that he generalizes the criticism against him into the word that shall not be named beginning with GR, and he acknowledged that. He also then watched my video and told me it was a good video, so if even Cosmodore thinks it's good, maybe you should watch it too. However, he argues some points with anonymous sources that apparently vouch that the situation is overblown, which is irrelevant because 99% of the public still see this as a problem. And he also says my moral bankruptcy argument is something we fundamentally disagree on. So I clarified to him that whether he believes it or not, dating someone 4 years younger than him is quite morally wrong, especially when that person lives in a different country where the law is completely different, and in her country the relationship was actually illegal. And because of arguments from Cosmodore that he was sharing an SFW, and also him saying that he thought it'd work itself out when she turned 18, which is a concerning comment, I'd consider this behaviour almost illegal. I'm not sure if it would be considered illegal, and I'm not sure if it classes under the GR word. It's definitely questionable at best, and I don't make sweeping allegations, but he did attempt to meet up with this child in America, which is a place where that relationship would not be legal, and could definitely be considered a crime as long as there was a sexual intent behind it. Cosmodore also said he would never do any of this again, which doesn't change anything because there's no evidence to prove that, so it's a void statement. And he also claims that he won't talk about this publicly again, and although we can't guarantee that, I think that's good in the event that it's true, because Cosmodore needs to leave his victims alone now. Simple as that. In this conversation, I also argued that he, as well as I, know exactly how different the mental state of a 15-year-old is to a 19-year-old, and he responded claiming his mental state was the same as a 15-year-old, which is such an idiotic statement. Like, no, that's not a defense, it's a deflection, and even then, it's still untrue. You know as well as everyone else that this is unacceptable. He does claim though that he is attempting to improve from this behaviour, which is good. However, you aren't actually changing anything by making videos continuing to defend yourself. You're actually enabling your own behaviour and making excuses for it. And that's the problem I highlighted with my last video. On a follow-up to my last video, there's so much more to this situation than I knew when I started, including the fact that Cosmodore intended to meet up with this 14-year-old, that this 14-year-old was in another country where the age of consent was higher, and more, which means that if Cosmodore did intend to meet up with them, he would have broken the law. And technically he already was by engaging in a relationship with them and sharing porn with a minor, which means that his defense video grossly misrepresented his actions and the law, which I wish I knew going into my first video, so I could have called him out on that too. Because it's disgusting. This kind of behaviour is actually very concerning and should be questioned under its legality. And although I'm not informed on German law, I think this is more than enough to call Cosmodore out for. There's also a lot more to this whole situation as well, from all the awful and unforgivable emotional abuse that he recognised in my DMs, to everything else he's done to these victims. This kind of behaviour is not even close to acceptable. He abused children emotionally for months, traumatizing them to the point where even talking about it brings them to tears, as you can hear in their video on the topic, which I'd recommend you watch. It's so painful to listen to, and I feel really bad for them about it. Cosmodore took advantage of this child and played with a huge power dynamic because the person he dated was a fan. Cosmodore is not a redeemable person, nor is he someone learning. Cosmodore is someone who will continue to manipulate every part of the truth to make himself come out on top, which sickens me, and I'd like to provide a great example of that now. Now I want to address some of Cosmodore's tweets, because they in themselves are very manipulative and disingenuous. The main tweet I want to highlight is this one, where he, in third person, cries about how nobody lets anyone learn from their mistakes, and it's so obviously him throwing a pity party for his predacious behaviour. This in itself shows how misleading Cosmodore is, and it's a very clear example of manipulation here. You know very well why people hate you, and you've acknowledged it, so why in the world would you act like it's just everyone going after you and not letting you improve? I'm so sick of all these people acting like they've been wronged by all the creators speaking about them, as they simultaneously acknowledge and apologise for their own behaviour. People are completely allowed to hold you accountable for your behaviour, and you should know that. So learn from your actions and stop acting like they aren't huge issues. Go to therapy, talk to some professionals, disappear from the internet for a year, learn exactly what you did wrong, and when you return, acknowledge all your mistakes and learn from them. Because you need to, and the fact you're defending your behaviour shows that so far you have not. I'd be inclined from our DMs to even argue the fact that you haven't learned at all. If you'd truly learned, you wouldn't be manipulating the story and twisting your words to evade criticism. I can understand covering for a past lie out of fear of it becoming public, but when it's out in the public and everybody knows about it, why would you continue to lie and twist the truth on it? Just admit to what you did and stop defending it and making excuses for yourself. It's so incredibly painful to your victims as well to continue to do that when there's literally no reason to do so. So what are my thoughts? Well, my thoughts are quite clear, and you've probably gathered some of them from this video. I think Cosmodore should leave the internet. I used to watch Cosmodore, and I used to look up to him. Their content was something I actually watched, so finding out about all of this was really disappointing to say the least. Cosmodore needs to get professional help, and needs to stop making excuses for his actions. These could be considered crimes, and I can't accept this behaviour being allowed and enabled by a huge proportion of his fanbase that continues to provide him support despite his own admission of this behaviour. I hope Cosmodore learns, and I hope I've helped inform you on the situation. But that's where I'll leave this video. I've said all I really wanted to say about this topic. I know this video was shorter than most on my channel. I just wanted to put my thoughts out there for you, and I have to pick up my new puppy today, so I don't have enough time to make a fully fledged video. So that's it for this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. I also have a Discord with 800 members you can join, and a Patreon and Ko-fi where you can donate. Thanks to Spy62 for their donation of $90, and I'll see you next time. Peace, dudes. Actually, just quickly before I end this video, I just want to give everyone who's been supporting my channel recently a huge thank you. It's been a lot of work to do this daily content, and it's definitely been a struggle, but the support you've given me has been astronomical, and it's helped me so much with making content. Literally, we're gaining like 4,000 subscribers a month right now, which is crazy, and I can't say thank you enough. It means so much that the dream I've thought about since I was a kid is finally coming true. So thank you, I appreciate all the support, let's keep it going, daily uploads the whole way through this year ideally, and I'll see you next time. Peace, dudes.
Says she wanna rock with it like me. I'm a stylish guy, spend a little guap with it like me. We can catch a fly. Says she wanna rock with it like me.